Dentist, do you feel like you're diagnosing great treatment plans, but patients are not closing? Woo, y'all gonna be mad at me. Because, dentist, I have a hard pill for you to swallow today. If your schedule is empty, but you have a good patient flow, something wrong with your case acceptance. But I'm here to help. If you feel like you're diagnosing and you're not seeing the patients on the schedule, I am here to help. If you feel like you have a load of treatment that has been diagnosed and patients are just not accepting the treatment, I am here to help. If you feel like your schedule is empty and you do not know why because hygiene is full, I am here to help. Make sure you subscribe to my channel. Make sure you like the video. Make sure you comment. And most of all, make sure you share this information with your dentist friends because they need it too. If you need it, they need it. Stop and really ask yourself, are you diagnosing the treatment that your patient wants or the treatment that you want? My name is Kimmy and I help doctors boost their dental case acceptance today. I'm going to give you 3 helpful tips that you need if you want your case acceptance to go up. We're going to start by asking that question to ourselves. Am I diagnosing what the patient wants or am I diagnosing what I think they need? Now, let's be honest. Only dentists can diagnose. You have a dental license. You look at the x-ray. You see exactly what you think the patient needs and wants. Of course, the patient wants to be out of pain. Of course, the patient wants no periodontal disease. Of course, the patient wants their teeth to last for a lifetime, right? No. I need you to take your brain out of the textbook and place it in to reality. In order to be a dentist and a successful dentist at that, you have to be a very high functioning communicator, but also a listener. Most people that come into a dental office are only there for one reason. And it could be a cleaning. We hear that a lot. It could be because they're in pain. We hear that a lot. It could be because their insurance benefits are about to run down or run out in their mind. But if you don't know why that person is actually there, that means that you're doing things out of your history, your professional knowledge, and not actually catering or tweaking your concepts and your ideas and your treatment plan and your way of handling that patient to the patient. That can be damaging because patients sometimes leave unheard and you leave with an empty pocket. I'm going to give you 3 helpful tips that will help you listen to your patients better, provide the service that they actually want to pay for, and get your case acceptance up and get your practice profitable. So let's get right into it. Right off the bat, I know what you're thinking. I'm the doctor and I know what's best, right? Yes, you do know what's best, but do you know what's best for that person's lifestyle, the time frame that they're trying to get things done in, or their pockets? You don't. You don't know unless you ask. To be fair, I'm going to get into what happens if you do not follow these tips that I'm getting ready to give you. What are the consequences, right? The consequences of not asking your patient exactly what brought them into your door is that they leave feeling like they were cheated. It was a waste of time and a waste of effort and maybe even a waste of money for that comp or limited visit. So that is the consequences. And you guys will hear and see these things on your Google reviews. You guys will also hear feedback from patients by them not showing back up. And we know that when a patient has a good experience, they're going to tell maybe 1 or 2 people. But when they have a bad experience, they're going to become a raving fan of why people should never, ever, ever, ever come to your office. And you don't want that. You want your patients to leave feeling heard. So let's get it right into our first tip. My very first tip is so simple, and that is to ask. You must ask if you want to receive information, right? What does that look like? That looks like the very first phone call when someone calls to schedule an appointment for you to ask, what's bringing you into the practice? How'd you hear about us? And 9 times out of 10, that person will give you information. It's up to you to write it down, document it, however you want to place it in your notes. But it's up to you to listen to that patient to figure out what exactly are they coming in for. And that is your wow moment to be able to carry that into your patient's visit. So let's jump right in. My first tip for you is to ask. The Bible says, if you don't ask, you're not going to receive. It goes the same way in life. So if you want to know what's bringing somebody into your practice and what brought them in, you need to ask. You need to say, what brought you in today? Something that simple will give you all the information that you need to know to be able to honor the reason why that person actually came to you. So what that looks like is, hi, Miss Jones, what brought you in today? And then you let Miss Jones talk and explain exactly why they're there. It could be for something so simple like a chipped tooth. It could be for something like they want their teeth whitened. It could be for cleaning. And it's important that even if you can't address what they want immediately, let's say, for example, they want whitening and their teeth are just a disaster, right? That's okay. But you, as their provider, and knowing that that's what brought them in, need to at least put the whitening on their treatment plan. So you can put phase 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and then 13 be whitening. That way at least they can see that it's coming, it's in their view, and they're headed towards their whitening. That's how you can honor somebody's want without giving it to them immediately. My very next tip, number 2, is to honor your patient. Now, I believe that you can't be a great healthcare provider, even great in sales, if you don't actually love the person that you're working with. And what I mean by that is love them enough to tell them the truth, but to also make them feel empowered. Like the choice is theirs. So you give them options. You say, this is what I would recommend, but what's most important to you? You always want them to feel like they're in the driver's seat, because then it's not a me against you, or it's not a I don't believe I have that many cavities. It's like, hey, this is what I'm seeing, and with my professional knowledge, this is what I would typically recommend. In your specific case, if you don't want to take care of all 17 cavities that you have, I'm always exaggerating. We can just take care of the 3 big ones for now, and then we can address the other ones in the next cleaning. Something that simple makes them feel like, 1, they're not being pushed, but also 2, that they're empowered. And it makes you gain trust, because then you're letting them know, hey, you can do it or not. This is your mouth, and you're empowered. But this is what I recommend. And that is what's missing from my industry. So many times people go into a dental office and they say, I was diagnosed with a root canal, I was diagnosed with extraction, I was diagnosed with this and this and that. Never do they say, the doctor kind of told me that this is what he thinks, but he also let me know that I could make a choice. You want to honor them. You want to make them feel empowered and give them the opportunity to make the choice, the right choice, hopefully. But if not, they'll be back. How do I know? From experience. Now we're going to jump into tip number 3. Now this one can be very, very hard to do, especially when you want something really bad. You never push. And that is so hard to do. And if your case acceptance is suffering, I would definitely take a look at this one. When you want something so bad, let's say, for example, you have a patient, they're approved for $28,000 in care credit, you're about to place these implants, and they're in the last minute, they're like, I don't know if I want to do this. As a dentist, that is a tough place to be in. I'm going to challenge you that the next time you find yourself in a situation where you literally are like, okay, either I can convince them to do it, or I can be without this production right now, that you stand with integrity and you say, you know what? This is a big investment, and I want you to be sure and confident that not only am I the provider that you want to go with, but that this is the treatment that you want to go with. So let's call it off for today. Go home. Let's get you rescheduled. Back on our books whenever you're ready. Thank you so much for your time. Talk to you later, Miss Jones. And you leave. Because a patient's not expecting that. This happened just recently. And just to give you an example, it was a situation where a husband and a wife got a very similar diagnosis as far as clear aligner therapy. For those that don't know what that is, it's Invisalign. And the wife, or the husband told the wife, we can't both need this. And I literally looked at the wife and I said, I understand how you're feeling. And she's like, yeah, that's a bit sketchy. We can't both need it. And I began to give the different types of reasons why somebody would need clear aligner therapy. So for example, some people can need it for spacing. Some people could need it for crowding. Some people could need it because they have overbite or underbite. Some people can need it because they have edge on edge. And I simply told her that's the reason why I need it. So it can seem that it's salesy or sketchy. And if you feel that way, I'm going to encourage you not to move forward. I'm going to encourage you to go home, do your own research on malocclusion and how it can impact, I think, 75 or higher percentage of adults, and understand why your husband was diagnosed with that and you as his wife were diagnosed with the same thing. And she looked at me and she said, you know what? That's what I'm going to do. And I said, okay. I hope you have a great day. And I'm here. If you need anything, please feel free to give us a call back and get scheduled whenever you're ready. It was a short time, maybe a week or two later. She called back and she paid maybe $5,000 over the phone. She was convinced that she needed it because she felt empowered, but also she felt that we were who she wanted to go with because the trust was there. No one wanted to push her. Nobody was judging her on her even feeling like we weren't being honest. This is the one thing you want to check. Always remember that your pride goes before your fall because it blinds your judgment and it has you thinking that it's personal. It's never personal. It's never personal. If someone doesn't trust you or doesn't believe your diagnosis, that just means that, one, your team can get better at educating them and showing them different visuals or video AI or photos instead of x-rays, or allowing the patient to co-discover instead of just you telling them exactly what they need and why they need it. You want the patient to ask, like, what can fix my problem, versus you telling them this is your problem, this is how to fix it, because it feels like you're in school and nobody wants to feel like they're being told, judged, or quite frankly, like the lady told me, felt like it was a little sketchy. And as a consumer, we're trained to look out for things like that, especially when it sounds too good to be true. So I would challenge that area of your development. Am I very prideful when I give a diagnosis? Does it bother me or make me feel some kind of way if a patient questions it? If it does, work in that, deal with that, challenge that inside of yourself, because you're holding back your case acceptance. If you're not comfortable and confident that that person leaves, they're gonna be back, because one, nobody can do it as good as you. Two, and not because of your skill, but because of all the love and care that you're going to put into the treatment. And that too, that your diagnosis is dead on. So those are my tips. And just to recap, the very first one is to ask. If you're going on a date, you want somebody to ask, what would you like to eat? You don't want to just be served, right? My second tip is to honor your patient. I heard some great advice by Myron Golden, who said that a good salesperson does not sell, but they persuade. And I wrote down the definition for you guys. The definition of persuade is to cause someone to do something through reasoning. What that means is you say, here's an apple. It's a beautiful apple. And either you can eat it or you don't have to eat it. But I suggest that you eat it because an apple a day has been known to keep the doctor away. Doesn't that sound better than, here's the apple, you need to eat it or your teeth gonna fall out and you're gonna have diabetes and heart disease and all this yada 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 yada, right? So it's not what you say, it's how you say it. We know that. But it's not selling, it's persuading. Persuasion is a process of reasoning. It doesn't just happen right away. It doesn't even just happen on the first visit. And that's why a lot of times you want your hygienist to be able to be the first person that can like spend time with the patient and educate them prior to you even seeing them. Because we know that people hear things over and over. More than likely than not, they're like, oh, okay, they start to head down that direction with you. So if you're not having high case acceptance, check your persuasion process. Is your team making you the captain? Is your team building you up before you even come in? That's important. I always encourage offices to build each person up as they interact with the patient. So instead of saying, your hygienist is going to be here in a moment, it's like, your wonderful hygienist, Caitlin, is going to be here in a moment. Or your wonderful hygienist, Bobby, is going to be here in a moment, right? I'm going to bring you up to checkout, and Tanya is wonderful at answering any financial questions that you may have. Verbiage like that makes a patient feel loved, confident, and well taken care of. And verbiage the opposite way makes the patient feel the exact opposite. So check your persuasion process that you have in place in your office. Is it one where everyone is uplifted and seem to be very educated and knowledgeable? Or is it one where people are rolling their eyes, huffing and puffing, and ready to go home? Lastly, as a bonus, I never want you to leave the room without knowing if a patient accepted the treatment. Now, I hear so many times in this say to their front desk team, I think they're going to close, but go in and close it for me. That's not the right mindset to have. You're the dentist. When you leave that room, you should know that the patient is going to move forward with treatment and which day they're going to move forward with treatment. Is it going to be today? Or is it going to be tomorrow? Or is it going to be one day next week? And the way that you empower yourself to be that person is by making everyone in the office know that I'm the one that closes the case. When I leave that room, I know that the patient's going to get scheduled. So ask your patient. You should have that conversation with them. That way, they don't leave with any questions, and you don't leave with any questions. When you leave that door, you know this case is closed. I love that. Case closed. I need to insert that music dum 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 from Law and Order, okay? Case is closed when you leave that room. Did you hear that? Yes, when you leave that room, the case is closed. You don't wait for a financial team member to come in and close the case. You don't wait for a dental assistant to close the case. You are the dentist. When you leave that room, you should know that treatment is closed. That patient knows why they need a crown and they want that crown done immediately, as soon as possible. That patient should be asking, how soon can I get in? That patient should be asking, when's your next opening? To you, not your team. When you leave that room, that case should be closed. The best way you can honor your patients, your family, or anybody, any human you come in contact with, is to listen. I'm going to share with you something that my grandfather taught me. When you talk, you tell what you know. When you listen, you learn and you grow. Now, that's something very simple to just remind you that you have one mouth and two ears, and you should use them in that order, okay? You should listen twice as much as you talk. And as a dentist, it's so important because somebody can literally tell you exactly what they want to buy. And they can literally tell you exactly what they don't want to buy. They can literally explain to you why they left the last dentist, and they should be able to tell you why they chose you. All if you just ask, if you say, what brought you in today? How could I help you? What's most important to you? Now, I know you need several things, but out of everything that I've told you today, what's most important to you? You always want to start with that. That should be the first thing on the treatment plan, not what you think should be the first thing on the treatment plan. Yes, everything they need to get done should be reflected on the treatment plan, and they should be informed about it. But you need to empower them by making them feel like, 1, you listened and heard them. 2, you want to honor them. And 3, you're not pushing nothing on them. It's their decision. They're the one that's in charge. My challenge for you is I want you to start today. Start by asking your patients, what's most important to you? What brought you in? And then start by honoring that. And tell me about your results. I challenge you to try this today. Come back to my comment section and let me know how it's going. I cannot wait to hear your success stories because I know this works. That's been my video for today. I hope that you found it helpful. If you did, I pray that you like and you subscribe to my channel. It's growing, it's blooming, it's blossoming. It's gonna get there. One day, very soon. But in the meantime, my name is Kimmy, and I am a dental business coach. If this sounds like something that you're very interested in, please do not hesitate to reach out to me. I'm on Instagram at The Rich Dentist, and you can also email me. My email is therichdentist@outlook.com, and I'll be more than happy to help you with these tips and more galore. Whatever you need, I will make sure that either I get it to you, or I don't mind referring you to other colleagues that can help you more if I can. So this is the end of my video, but I always challenge you to go forth, be a blessing, help somebody, grow somebody, and do the doggone thing.